I'm finally here to talk Ironheart. So welcome and welcome back to the channel. My name's King Richie, and let's get into talking about Ironheart. Okay, so I don't really know what Marvel was doing with the promo of this show. It feels like they dropped the ball on us like a month or two in advance, and kind of strange. I don't know why they didn't promo it so much, but now that all 6 episodes are out, the show is fire. Okay, the show is good, and yeah, I'm gonna say that without any hesitation. Spoilers ahead. Spoiler warning, your official spoiler warning if you have not watched the full series. And if you haven't watched it at all, please go check it out. Then come back to me and let's talk. Alright, so let's start with the first 3 episodes here. Right out the gate, you can feel Ryan Coogler's influence just all over this project. But it's not just him, the writing team, the directors, the cast, everybody showed up for this series. I almost said film. But Ironheart doesn't feel like just a fill-in-the-gap series like some Marvel projects might, It feels personal. Okay, so we're picking up with Riri Williams in MIT, but essentially in Chicago, She's recovering from the events of Wakanda Forever, and she's dealing with grief. She's dealing with pressure and expectations and herself. She's dealing with a lot, okay? The show doesn't paint her as perfect, and I'm glad that it doesn't. Like, she's brilliant, yeah, but she's also emotionally impulsive, guarded, and still figuring out who she wants to be. Dominique Thorne brings so much depth to Riri, and the friendship between her and Natalie is one of the most genuine dynamics we've gotten in the MCU. The chemistry is real both on and off screen. You can feel the tension they have, you can feel the care, the love that they feel for each other, and for Gary, her Riri's stepdad, it really just brings it all together, and you really just feel their connection. Then enters the Hood, Parker Robbins, played by Anthony Ramos, not too sure, my fault, sorry. This really surprised me here. His performance has this dark energy. It's half desperation and half menace until he becomes like a full menace. But the show really leans into this magic versus tech without making it feel like a gimmick. And it can actually get kind of scary in moments. There's like a little horror code in there, and it works. And I'm glad that they have it in there, Changes up the tone a little bit and fits perfectly well. And I was predicting it early, just as everyone else was, but Mephisto was coming. You could see it, you could feel it, you could hear it, and he's here. And with Mephisto here, let's get right into episodes 4 to 6, and let's talk about this a little bit. So with the back half of the season, when that came out, things took a turn. The tone gets a little more serious, It almost feels like grief becomes the central theme, especially for Riri, Xavier, and Natalie's AI. It was that emotional weight, and it felt real. Episode 4 alone just shows how much this show cares about its characters. And then the little twist and integration of Zelma and her mom being sorcerers. Loved that. Hello, that was random. But it really helped expand the magical side without pulling us out of the story, and it makes sense even more later down the line. We also see Zeke Stain and the Hood start working together. Now, I know I kind of glossed over Zeke, but Joe McGillicuddy is the fake alias for Ezekiel Stain, the son of Obadiah Stane, which I also think is a great inclusion into this show. And I didn't really know too much about Zeke Stane's character in the comics. I don't really know too much about the Hood, but I know more about him than I do Zeke. So I wasn't fully expecting him to become like a villain, an anti-villain. But, seeing them starting to work together is kind of wild because it makes Zeke like the MCU's next possible anti-villain. And then when he gets arrested and the way he just calls out Riri for her mistakes, that's Marvel kind of holding your hand and saying, yeah, she's flawed and she's figuring it out. And I kind of appreciate that for y'all that aren't really seeing that she's not perfect, and that's okay. Not all main characters are perfect. So let me address what I thought was kind of the weakest moments in this real quick. And I'd say that was near the end of the series when Riri fights the blood siblings. It didn't really work for me because we have seen these two throw hands with people and demolish them, and we haven't really seen Riri in any hand-to-hand combat to show off her skills. She's really just in the suit, and she's suddenly blocking and dodging like she somehow trained with Black Widow in her sleep. Like it felt like straight up plot armor in the moment. And it's a plot armor moment. Don't know why they did it against the blood siblings, but it was a choice. But also, why does everyone in film, television, etc. run straight ahead from danger? Like her running away from the truck, she had so much time to just turn. I hate to side with CinemaSins here. But, this is a prime example of the Prometheus school of running away from things. And then I said his name.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Mephisto, not Joe Hendry.
Say his name and he appears.
Finally, Mephisto. He's played by Sacha Baron Cohen. Fantastic choice. Like the man nails it. He gives off the Lucifer kind of vibe from that series, that Netflix Fox series, the DC Lucifer Morningstar. The way the show slowly built up his reveal, it's coming, and then he hit us with it, and hit us with Riri making a literal deal with the devil to bring Natalie back. That's the kind of bold move that I don't expect Marvel to kind of pull nowadays, especially in a street level show, but they went for it. I'm glad they did, and I respect them for it. I know I'm kind of all over the place here, but we're seeing her new suit too at the end. It looks fantastic. She built it with a mix of technology with actual scraps from Gary's car that she got, and a little help from magic. So, anyone kind of still stuck on the Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Yeah, but his cave was kind of stocked with Stark tech parts and weapons, and he was also a billionaire genius. Riri's also a genius, but she used actual scraps, but she also had magic help. And a little chaos. It's the same, okay? It's equal, all right. And the important thing is she's not trying to be Iron Man. And I feel like a lot of people don't see that. She's trying to protect her family, and she makes very human and very flawed decisions to do that. And it's compelling as hell. And you really see it when she can't get over her grief, makes a deal with Mephisto himself, and brings Natalie back. If I've got one real criticism, it's the length in that 6 episodes I feel like just weren't enough. There's a slight identity shift in the middle, like I addressed. The early episodes kind of seem like they're about money, hustle, and her rebuilding her suit, her trying to build a suit. And then although it has grief and supernatural elements into it, it kind of takes a hard shift and really focuses on that. And while that pivot does work, I feel like the show just needed more time to breathe. Even maybe 2 more episodes would have let them flesh out that arc better. But still, with what we did get, it's grounded. It's tech meets magic, but that story never loses sight of its lead character. And while some of the villain motivations could have used a little more screen time, it still does stand out as one of the stronger character-driven Disney Plus series that Marvel has put out. So yeah, Ironheart is underrated big time, at least from what I've seen. I have seen some good things, so everyone has their own opinion. Make your own opinions about it. But Riri Williams has officially proven that she can certainly carry her own story. She is layered, and I can't wait to see this addressed in future projects. She's real. She's imperfect, and I'm excited to see where she goes from here. So, yeah, let me know what you thought of the full season. Did Mephisto live up to the hype after so many series of being teased? Do we think Zeke's going to be a real problem for Riri, or is he going to kind of phase out in the next phase? And, let me know how you feel about Riri's final decision. But with all that being said, if you did enjoy the video, please leave it a like, because it really does help out the channel so much. And you made it this far, but you still aren't subscribed. So why not? You're already here. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this one, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.